What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Salt and Pauper Saturday video, and today we're going to continue our examination of the new Commander Masters downshifts for the Pauper format by exploring a deck that prominently features another one of the new cards. Last week we got to take a look at Lotleth Giant and Dread Return. Today we're looking at a new card that has a lot of people excited. Let's jump right into the deck tech, and you guys can find out what we're going to be playing today. All right, guys, taking a look at the deck here, we have a very spicy little brew of Esper All That Glitters Affinity. A lot of people are really excited about All That Glitters in Pauper for several decks, one of them being Affinity, obviously the other one being Boggles. But today we're going to look at a brew that seems to be captivating a lot of people's attention, but hasn't really put up any big numbers yet. Now, there are a couple key differences in between the list I'm going to be running and what you'll find from most people, notably the lack of Ornithopter. Also, the addition of this nice little card right down here called Glaze Fiend, and another of the flying artifacts, Vault Scourge. And in my testing, Vault Scourge has been an absolute all-star for helping you race opponents. Obviously, the addition of Cyber Cryptomancer is absolutely crucial here. And you'll also notice that there are no Kenku Artificers in this list. In my testing, they just ended up being a little bit too clunky, a little bit too slow, primarily not being able to attack with the creature that you're trying to cast until turn 4. Just really wasn't applying enough pressure. Now, that being said, I am interested in testing this test with maybe 2 Kenkus in it, just to see if it feels a little bit better with a couple less. Most lists these days are running a lot of them in the 3 to 4 range, and I just think that's too many. You'll also notice that I've got a pretty healthy amount of cast downs in here. So let's take a look at the deck. The deck has 16 artifact lands. We're running a full 4 set of Vault of Whispers, and then only 2 each of Seat of the Synod and Ancient Den, and then we have 4 each of Mistvault Bridge and Razortide Bridge. The lack of a white-black land here really is felt. Black being the main color in this deck definitely feels like we need as many black sources as possible, and only half of our mana producing black does hurt a little bit. Fortunately, we're able to utilize these stars and the treasure tokens from Deadly Dispute, as well as the blood tokens to discard extra lands or off-color lands that we don't need out of our hand to try to dig for our primary color if absolutely necessary. But running 3 Blood Fountains, 4 Chromatic Stars, and 4 Vault Scourges. Like I said, Vault Scourge is doing my Ornithopter impression for this version of this list. I really like the fact that this has lifelink, and it curves very nicely from turn 1 Vault Scourge into turn 2 All That Glitters, which really does do a good job of presenting a very, very fast threat. Although it doesn't have hexproof, which does hurt a little bit, the Cyber Cryptomancers go a long way to recovering and making sure that you're able to play around certain removal spells, and I like having the 1-drop of Vault Scourge available to do that. All That Glitters being the namesake of the deck. Absolutely fantastic card. Unfortunately, it is an aura, so it holds the inherent aura weakness of whenever you target something that doesn't have hexproof, they can just kill that thing and 2-for-1 you. And you definitely feel that sting incredibly strongly in this deck. So you do have to be careful of your timings, but fortunately, a lot of the meta right now are playing tap lands, and you have a lot of mid-rangey or control or combo decks that take it a little bit slow in some early turns. So with a good draw, you can really pressure them quickly with this deck, and I do like that aggro element. Cryptomancer, as I mentioned before, is a absolute all-star in this deck. The ability to give something hexproof and it having hexproof really picks up All That Glitters pretty well, and it just kind of does everything you want it to do. Also, the ability to buy it back with Blood Fountain is really powerful. Comboing that with something like our lifelink creature here is also very powerful because it gives it a 1/1 token forever. Next up, we have a couple of cast downs here, just 3, not running the full set, but we did want some level of interaction, just to be able to remove some key blockers. We are running 3 Wedding Invitations, which can also do that, but it just felt bad to run the deck with no interaction whatsoever. This is our Reckoner's Bargain slot, though, so there is a little bit of debate as to how much draw we really want to fit into the deck. And you'll also notice I'm not running any Thraben Inspectors on 1, which has also been a very popular include in this deck, and I just wasn't impressed with them in my play, so we're excluding them from this list. Next up, we have 4 Deadly Disputes. This is pretty common. It's the reason you run black in this deck, along with Blood Fountain to increase your affinity count very efficiently. Next up, we have Glaze Fiend. This is another card that not a lot of these lists are running, but I did think it was very important for those explosive early starts. When you're able to combo that up with Blood Fountain, a land drop and a Frogmite plus an All That Glitters, this becomes a 1-turn kill threat very quickly in the turn 4 to 5 range. So it is definitely something the opponent has to be aware of. Plus, with the ability to flash in treasure tokens with Deadly Dispute, you do definitely have a little bit of surprise pump to dodge some pings from, Kumbaj Witches or makeshift munitions, things like that. So it does a little bit better job staying alive than you might think in this deck. Next up, we have 3 Wedding Invitations. This is just our Ichor Wellspring. Really, we're not running Ichor for the Deadly Disputes, just the Chromatic Stars. Wedding Invitation does that impression here. It still enters the battlefield to draw a card, but we're able to sacrifice it to make something unblockable this turn, which is really, really good when All That Glitters is our big damage threat. To pair that, we're running Frogmites. This is an aggro version of Affinity, so Frogmite does do something here, unlike the more grindy, control-y kind of Grixis Affinity list, where Frogmite really has fallen off in favor of Kenku, because those decks can take it a little bit longer, and not being able to attack until turn 4 with your 3/3 really doesn't cause that deck any tempo loss, since it wants to take the game long anyway. This deck does not want long games, so Frogmite coming in. 4 Thought Casts. Now, this is another little bit of a flex. You can run fewer than 4 Thought Casts. I've cut it down to 2 Thought Casts to make room for a couple of Reckoner's Bargains, but ultimately I like the 1 mana Divination here, and with this many Blood Fountains, it often is going to be just that. You can even turn to it for 1 mana, so it really does do a good job of helping you dig, and it's not hard to find blue mana sources in this deck, so pretty common. It's never going to be really a mana struggle, and it's just good, efficient draw. Lastly, we're rounded out with some Myr Enforcers. I mean, it's Affinity. You can't play Affinity without Myr Enforcer. It's just too damn efficient. I have seen some lists running Gear Seeker Serpents, Gurmag Anglers, some of the big late game bombs from the Control Affinity list, and I do think that those have merit here, but with this list being as fast-paced and as aggressive as possible, I just don't like the ability that you can't kind of run them out on curve sometimes, and the color restriction from Gear Seeker Serpent on one of our splash colors, I was a little bit afraid to commit to double blue all the time, so we're just sticking with our Myr Enforcers here. For the sideboard, admittedly the sideboard is rough. Again, this is kind of my variation of the deck, so the sideboard is still a little dicey. Still working on the specifics, but for right now we have 3 Blue Elemental Blasts, or Hydro Blasts, just whichever one you've got. 3 Nihil Spell Bombs, which are pretty much the most important sideboard card you can have at the moment is Graveyard Hate. There are a lot of Spy lists, a lot of Reanimator lists, and Nihil Spellbombs really do a great job of shoring up that weakness. You can also run Fairy Macabres, which are an absolutely fantastic card in the format right now. I'm just running the Spellbombs because we want as many artifacts entering the battlefield for these Glaze Fiends as possible. I do have a couple of Revoke Existences. I've seen the argument that running white opens up the ability to run All Is Dust, and while that is true, my white sources are pretty lacking here with only 6 out of 16 in the mana base, plus the Chromatic Stars and Treasure Tokens, so I didn't really count on All Is Dust being a reliable turn 3 or a reliable tempo play, and I really don't want to spend my turn trying to like pawns out my opponent. I just want to kill them. So in the slower variations of Affinity, I'm really just trying to get in there. So Revoke Existence does the job. We're only running 2 here, just because while they are good against Affinity, I think that overall this list doesn't struggle too heavily against Affinity. One of Affinity's big weaknesses is the lack of hard removal. So if we can manage to get a big Vault Scourge or a big Frogmite or even a big Cryptomancer, they really struggle to get that off the board. And as long as we don't allow them to like multi-block it to death, we shouldn't have too big a problem. This deck also isn't super vulnerable to Clark Clan Shaman, just because most of our early threats do have flying, so we have a little bit of forgiveness there. We do just need to be careful of makeshift munitions and things like Kumbaj Witches, because those do pick apart our early game threats very efficiently. To combat that, we have 3, Unexpected Fangs also coming in from the board. Against decks where you've got pingers to worry about, these act like additional Cryptomancers, and they act to also help us out in the red matchups, just giving more of our creatures lifelink, which makes it so that we can target with Olive Glitters on more things in order to really swing those life totals and not be so afraid of the red deck. Then we got some Chainer's Edicts. This is really just Boggle's insurance, but it also does help against other All That Glitters decks if they are going to hard commit to like an Ornithopter or something that swings in. And then we have a Singleton Essence Harvest. This is actually tech from Snapbolt that I really enjoy. And this is to stop things like Prismatic Strands or Stonehorn Loops. And it really does a good job of helping be, you know, a black fling, essentially. And overall, very strong card, but we only are running 1 just because it is kind of an insurance policy, not plan A. All right, so now you guys have a good idea of the deck. Ideally, we're going to be wanting to kind of aggro out our opponents very, very quickly. The deck is still very rough, and admittedly, All That Glitters Affinity has yet to put up a good finish in any real challenge or big event since the CMM downshifts became legal. So this deck doesn't seem to want to perform to the level that it needs to compete with some of the big hitters in Pauper right now. It is still very fresh. The metagame is still adapting. We'll see if some of the brewers, myself, can really come up with a way to break this card. I do really like Vault Scourge in this deck, and not a lot of people are running that yet. But let's jump into some games, and I'll show you what the deck can do, and we'll give it a try. Let's go to game number 1. All right, game number 1 against Strudel 420. We're going to be on the draw. Unfortunately, even though I would love to keep this hand, it's a 1-lander, so we do have to mulligan here. That is kind of the risk of running only 16 lands. Fortunately, the deck is pretty aggressive. You only need to draw about 3 total. Then you have a lot of draws with Chromatic Stars and Deadly Disputes and Thoughtcasts. This is a mulligan. This actually looks reasonable because we can end of turn 2 Cyber Cryptomancer and then suit it up with an All That Glitters, and that is pretty hard for the opponent to deal with. Got double cast down backup, which is kind of interesting off of the Chromatic Star. So overall, I think this is a keep. We're just going to throw back one of the cast downs. We're going to start on a tap land here and then go for an end of turn 2 Cryptomancer, I think. But we'll see what the opponent's on. Opponent on Mono Black Gardens. Okay, so the hexproof threat is actually going to be quite good here. Okay, so we still have to start with the white-blue land. Yeah, because we want to be able to untap for All That Glitters. So let's just pass it back to the opponent here. And then this will let us end of turn 2 crypto, and then on my turn play a land All That Glitters. Lembas for the opponent. Okay. Opponent might not be on Black Gardens. They might be on some sort of a food deck, which is interesting. Maybe a Sacrifice or Cauldron Familiar type list, maybe. Okay, Wedding Invitation to back up the Cryptomancer is pretty good here. We're just going to pass it. Go for the end of turn Cryptomancer. Now this does run into Chainers, which is bad for us. Ooh, Death Touch. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. Death Touch is bad for us here. So, how do we adapt? I think we want to play around the Chainers probably. So let's just take our turn. A little inefficient to hold mana like that, but I think it's fine. We're going to go for a Wedding Invitation here. Double Frogmite's pretty good. And this will let us just... Ah, see, there was a Chainer's Edict. That's good. That's good to get that out of the way. Is he gonna offer a trade here? He is. Oh, this is fantastic. We get to get this pesky 2/2 art Death Toucher off the board. He's gonna draw a card, which is unfortunate, but I think it's fine. But Jukabog, my double Frogmite, that's unfortunate, but could have been much worse. So we take it. We get another Frogmite. So this is actually pretty good for us. And let's go with a star. Death Toucher is off the board now. We still have a Cryptomancer for any kill spell shenanigans. And then we get to go right into an All That Glitters, which is great. Witch's Cottage. Probably putting the Prowler on top. Oh, it doesn't have 3 swamps. Never mind. Goes for end turn here. Okay, we're going to play this a little bit slow since the opponent is also. We're just going to attack for 2 here. For Snuff Out. Oh man. Okay, so we get to whip a Snuff Out on this. This is great for us. A second Snuff Out? Okay. I'll just put the counter on himself. Okay, that was kind of good for us, actually. Opponent used 2 Snuff Outs there. Down to 3 cards. Deadly Dispute the Lembas, probably. No, just Deadly Dispute's a plant. That's interesting. Don't know if I agree with that one from the opponent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yikes. So opponent can flashback Chainers here next turn, most likely. Don't like that. Let's dig for another creature, I think, before we try to commit to the board. That's not a creature, but it is fine. Okay, we did get to our creature, which is great. We can still go for another Thoughtcast, though. Great. Oh, we played a land already. All right. So go all that glitters here. And we have a Frogmite. I think we want to guarantee the 8 damage here. Yeah, we're going to guarantee the 8 damage here. Puts opponent to 8. Means that now they have to leave back a blocker and we have a cast down up. Ah, okay. So he has cast down. And then he's going to flash back. Oh, okay, no. He's going to flash back the chainers. There's no way he doesn't flash back chainers here. Unless opponent massively misplaced this. It's fine, though. Guaranteeing the 8 damage was good. Okay, yep. There's the flashback chainers. Feels a little bad that we couldn't push that, but it is fine. It's going to be Bajuka Bog bounce. No. Interesting. Blood Fountain? No. Okay, so we're gonna go with a star. Sacrifice the star for black. Try for a deadly here? No. Okay. Alright, not bad, not bad. Opponent still has a lot of removal available, though. Yep, okay. Cast down. Didn't bounce Majukabog, though, which is a little surprising. Thorn is very bad for us. We need Cryptomancer and flying. We need Deadly is what we need. We need a draw spell. Blood Fountain would also be fine. Okay, Glaze Fiend. That's not nothing. Opponent has used a lot of removal. Double cast down, double snuff out, and a chainers. Feels bad that that deck's not even close to running out of removal, though. Six. Oh, a troll. Okay. Okay. Deadly Dispute is still very good for us here. Opponent with 4 cards in hand. Okay, we'll start with a Thoughtcast. That's fine. Ooh, okay. Always yield. See if we can steal the Monarch here. This would be huge. We could steal the Monarch. Wow, we're going to get the Monarch. Yo, that's huge. Okay, let's draw. All that glitters. That's big. Okay. Might be able to fight through this here. Cast down for this troll is huge. Plays another food. Okay. What can he have? I guess he could have the vulture, right? That would be bad. Deadly Dispute, okay. That's huge. We get to keep the Monarch for another turn. Opponent did not swing with Thorn, which, while I understand, feels like a mistake. Okay. Opponent scries one to the top and draws it. Okay. I mean, that's definitely unfortunate. A Chainers. I feel like we have to do that. Unless opponent has exactly his third cast down here, we should be in the clear. Let's try. Okay. He can only gain 3 life to go to 10, so he should just be dead here. He has exactly cast down. Oh, Reckoner's Bargain. Okay. Opponent gonna go to 1. I'm gonna keep this in case I draw a Blood Fountain, so I have something to discard to the blood. Okay, Deadly's huge. Opponent at 1, the ability to go to 7. A lot of cards in hand, though. 6 cards in hand. 5, 6. This is another troll. Oh, it's a Chainer's Flashback. Okay. There's no reason to ever sacrifice this. It's snuff out proof. If he had a snuff out, he was definitely supposed to kill the Enforcer, then do it. Okay, Reckoner's Bargain. Sure. You go to like 3? No, okay. Sweet! Alright. We battled through those Chainers here. That was big. Spell bombs feel like they're gonna have value in this matchup. I just don't know how much value they have. Wedding Invitation didn't feel particularly important, although that 8 damage was very crucial. I don't think it matters a ton. Just because, well, maybe it does. They don't feel like they have a ton of flyers. So I'm not particularly excited about those Glaze Fiends. They're almost certainly bringing in well, they have Bajuka Bog, so maybe they bring in Graveyard Hate, but they didn't see any Blood Fountains. I feel like we're going to take a Wedding Invitation, a Blood Fountain, and 1 Glaze Fiend. No, we'll take out a Thoughtcast. Yeah, okay, we'll run it like this. Not 100% sure of my sideboarding plan, but I kind of like all the pieces of the deck. I just don't want to run into, like, too many duplicates. I just want, like, a clean one of every card in deck. This is a weird one, but it does have an all that glitters, so really if we hit a threat, we're in a good way. We're on the draw. We've got all our mana. If opponent's on a slow deck, I feel like this is a weird keep, but it's a keep. If opponent like Dark Rituals out a Thorn of the Black Rose, though, we're definitely in trouble. Okay, Bog going down early is good. That means opponent's likely just passing here. They don't have anything on 1 green. Okay, good, good, good. Okay, Cryptomancer's big. I feel like we just star, though. Next turn we have, like, Wedding Invitation. Okay, Cycling Troll. This is fine. Is opponent going to Exhume us? That would be really bad. If opponent has Exhume in their deck, we're in a little bit of trouble. Okay, it's another one of the Death Touchers. That's fine, but I'm not happy about it. Okay, Vault Scourge is huge. Because that allows us to play that with a Cryptologist out, and it's Snuff Out proof, which is huge. So if he goes for Chainers, we're actually fine. Don't care. Deadly Dispute, sure. This is great for us, because it lets us All That Glitters with a Cryptomancer up, which is huge. Wow. Okay, we get to do it. Let's do it. Get him in there. And Cryptomancer makes it so that we're Chainers proof. Opponent would have had to have a cast down, and if they did, they wouldn't have played into Prowler. Don't care. Knock me to 20, sir. Go ahead. Is this a Chainers? Oh, Deadly Dispute. Okay. Okay, plays a land. We like that. This is good so far. Opponent would have windmilled a cast down on us if he had it. Another Prowler for the opponent. Okay. Goes to end step. Great for us. Oh my gosh. All right, that's the nuts, folks. Opponent scoop it up here. This feels like a scoop. Oh, do they have a cast down? De-Glamour. Well, sorry about it, buddy. Had it the whole time. God, Cryptomancer is such a good card. Yep, there it is. Boom! Absolute nuts. Through the sideboard tech, through the chainers, no problem. Okay, so after match number 1, deck feels very, very strong. Obviously, the burst potential is huge. Really like the Vault Scourges. I think that more people should be playing them with All That Glitters. It just, so good. Wedding Invitation was clutch. Good timing. We just kind of went for it there, and I'm glad we did, because opponent had the Chainers and the kill spell, so it paid off. Glaze Fiend still a little unimpressive, but ultimately, because it is just another flying black artifact, it is Snuff Out proof, and flies and carries All That Glitters and gets bigger very quickly. I mean, it can very easily swing for 4, 6, 8 in this deck. Sideboard play was a little shaky there, I'll be honest. And the Nihil Spellbombs, I think, were correct, but just not sure what we should be taking out in that matchup. It feels like everything has its purpose. The Flyers get in there, the Frogmites and Enforcers are the blockers, Blood Fountain is the recursion, the stars and the wedding invitations are a refill, and the glitters and the cryptomancers all have points, and then cast down protects us when we get emblems. So not sure what we're supposed to do for the sideboard there, but let's jump in to match number 2. What is up, guys? Welcome back to match number 2 against Gorio. We won the die roll, so we're going to be on the play. We are still playing our Esper All That Glitters list, so let's see what we've got on the cards. Yeah, don't hate this run out. It's a little bit slow with the tapped Razor Verge on turn 1, but we get to Razor Verge into Ancient Den for a Vault Scourge and a Frogmite with backup on Thoughtcast, so I think this is a keep. Doesn't have all the glitters, but with a cast down and Thoughtcast backup, I think we should be all right. All right, let's just start with a tap land here and pass it up to the opponent. What is our opponent playing? Let's find out. Taminated Aquifer. Okay, so they're likely on Turbo Terror, which means we do have to play around some counter spells, which is a thing. But this is actually okay. The star helps us a little bit, so that's not too bad. Their primary removal is Snuff Out, so our flyers are going to get there like 100% of the time, which is good. But we do have to worry about counter spells, so... Cast downs are going to be good in this matchup, which are great. Opponent... Island cycling. Okay, opponent on a 1-lander here. We like that from the opponent. 1-landers are exceptionally keepable in that deck, though, so it's hard to make any judgment. Opponent might have Force Spike. Oh, running the Delver version. Okay, we like that. Sure. Great top deck. Let's go for the nuts. We can hit in All That Glitters here and absolutely obliterate the opponent. No All That Glitters. Okay, that's fine. Let's just get in there, I think. I'm going to take 3, and then we are actually going to ditch this for black. And we're going to cast down this Delver. Just get it out of here. It's not protected. Now's the time. Don't want it to flip and start blocking our Vault Scourge. Just feels like the right time to get that out of there. Opponent drew a land. That means the rest of their deck is the rest of their hand is action, though. Another Delver. Okay. Opponent keeping Counterspell up. Okay. We're going to start here. That's going to resolve. Okay, we like that. This should be a counterspell that's safe because they know we're not going to All That Glitters. Oh, a Spell Pierce. Sure. No, that's fine. Not before. Okay. That is a little upsetting, but it's okay. Would have liked to be able to get rid of one of these lands in my hand. But hopefully we top deck a Deadly Dispute, and we can smooth it out because we're a little bit gassed out here. Fortunately, the Vault Scourge here will go a long way in slowing that Delver clock down. Being Snuff Out proof is very good for us. There's the Thought Scour. Okay. Well, we correctly identified opponent's deck. Ooh, milling a cast down is big for us. They don't usually run very many of those, and that is the only way they can kill our Vault Scourge and other things. So opponent milling a cast down there is very big for us. We are very close to gassed out, though. We really needed that Blood Fountain to resolve. I suppose I should have waited. Played around the Spell Pierce. I thought it was a counter spell, though. Oh well. Why they didn't Spell Pierce the Wedding Invitation, I don't know. Huh. Is the Delver gonna flip? Of course it is. He brainstormed. Sure. Alright, we're just gonna F6 here. We have nothing to do here. Let's save some time. Opponent can definitely start pressuring us here. He's got 6 spells in the graveyard, so 7 spells in the graveyard. This feels like a Cryptic Serpent. No. Okay. I mean, opponent is losing this race, so I am okay with this. Opponent just passes. Okay. I'll play another Black Source. Let's get in there. Opponent taking 3. Okay, okay, okay. Let's go with a Vault Scourge. Another one. Sure. And we're gonna pass. Alright, so we bluffed the have action after Vault Scourge to get it through Counterspell. Opponent is representing they don't have a creature in hand, or they would have played a terror that turn. Or they're representing Counterspell very hard. Hard to know for sure. We showed them willingness to take 2 damage just to get through a spell here, so I wonder if they'll commit to keeping Counterspell open again. There's the Cryptic Serpent we knew about. Okay. Okay, Cryptomancer's big here. This is just an attack with these 2. And then if opponent tries to snuff out our Frogmite, Cryptomancer's pretty big. I'm going to play that just in case we get the All That Glitters draw. Not that I think it will resolve. Opponent has a lot of stuff. Okay. Just attacking. We're going to block. No reason not to. Opponent showing us they do not have an Unexpected Fangs, because that would have come down by now. Plays an island, plays a Tolarian Scarecrow. Okay. We need something big here. That is not big. Okay. So how do we do this? We need to hit him for 3 this turn. Otherwise, our clock is too slow. Which means that we have to main phase this Cryptomancer, which feels awful with 2 cards up and a host of mana. This has got to be a counter spell. We'll see if we can get it through, though. Wonder if opponent realizes that this is our out for lethal. Because this allows us to have a blocker he can't interact with and also increase our clock. Yeah, okay, he does. Well, I suppose that's not lethal, because that's 8. But either way, we have to draw in All That Glitters to not die, so I think we just pass here. We knew about that counterspell, though. Opponent's been representing it for ages. I just didn't know if I could sneak the Cryptologist through. Okay. Our attacker's here. We get to block this. Take an 8, go to 5. All the glitters is still a lethal out, which is hilarious. But opponent's got to have another counterspell up. There's just no way. Wow, dude, the RNG is crazy. So many lands. So many lands. Alright, so Nihil Spellbomb, definitely the way to go here. Chainer's Edict, also incredibly important here. These Frogmites just really don't do much in this matchup. They just don't feel that good. So I feel like we're going to drop those. The cast downs are good. The Wedding Invitations don't feel all that necessary, so we're going to drop a Glaze Fiend and a Wedding Invitation, I think. And yeah, let's run it like that. Chainers and Spellbombs definitely seems like the important pieces of the deck here. To be fair, Enforcer doesn't line up particularly well against this deck either, but those at least provide a little bit of a faster clock if we're on the offensive, and they can attack into a Delver, which Frogmites, I suppose, can too, but I don't know, it doesn't feel the best. Cryptomancer seems very good in this matchup, though. All right, we're on the play. Let's see if we get a good 7 here. This is not the best 7 we could ask for, but it is a 7. Let's keep. Yeah, let's pass the opponent. Turn 1 Delver from the opponent? No turn 1 Delver from the opponent. Alright, probably leaving a Force Spike up. Or a Spell Pierce up. We're going to attack. See if they have maybe a Vapor Snag. That would be interesting tech for this matchup. Okay. We're going to play a Bridge. We're going to try for a Star. There is precedent for just not running anything out right here and maximizing the mana loss from keeping Spell Pierce up, but I think we want the Star out just in case we do need to slam a Chainer's Edict on him. Sure. Brainstorm from the opponent, that's fine. That also says to me they're on a 1-land hand, because this is definitely an upkeep like Mill Myself or an upkeep Cycle Lorien. Because you're not going to brainstorm yourself like this and then just draw the cards. Glaze Fiend is interesting here. Don't know that we're going to be able to deploy it the way we want because we'll have to sack a star to do it. Okay, see, there's the Cycle Lorien. During the upkeep to shuffle before their draw. Yep. Okay, they play a tap land. This is actually great for us. It means that we can, I think, deploy this Glaze Fiend, which is very good for us. Oh. Okay, this represents a lot of damage to the opponent. They have to respect this Glaze Fiend a lot. And they don't have a ton of mana to work with. Like I said, the Snuff Outs are pretty much dead in this matchup, so they've got to use a cast down here. This is hard for the opponent here. Definitely hard for the opponent. Going for a Consider, that's fine. Milling a Cryptic Serpent, that's big. So they're looking for action here. Or they have a handful of creatures. Maybe they're looking for lands. They could definitely be digging for lands after a Lorien revealed on the Brainstorm. Opponent just passing. Ooh, they missed a land drop. That's massive for us. Yep, goes for Mental Note. Still going to have to discard, though. Thoughtscour Counterspell. Okay. Unexpecting Fangs. Wow. Okay. Oh, boy. This is huge. Did opponent bring in, like, foil? Because if they didn't bring in foil, they're in trouble. That's a big hit. Opponent in a lot of trouble here after a missed land drop. With a Chainer's backup here, this is a absolutely primo start. Opponent struggling, which definitely helps. This deck capitalizes on tempo loss a lot. Okay, there's the cast down. We knew that that had to come, but that was still a huge hit for us. So we only need 2 artifacts here, and we have both, so we're fine. Yep. All right. Cool. No sideboard cards in that matchup, but I think we did the right sideboard plan here. I think we're just gonna run it back. It feels a little bit less good on the draw, so maybe we want 1 less cast down, extra wedding invitation, just to make sure we're able to get through the blockers that opponent gets to set up. That seems reasonable. Chainers is better in this matchup anyway. Do we want the unexpected fangs? I don't think so. The frog might still seem bad. Yeah, let's run it like this. All right, decided game number 3. Let's see what the opponent has in store for us. I mean, this is a hand that does things. Don't know how good it is on the draw against the opponent. Kind of need that Vault Scourge to land turn 1. We're going to keep it, though. I mean, it kind of does all the stuff. Opponent starts with a tap land. Okay, so we do get to get this Vault Scourge down. Double all that glitters. Wow. I mean, we're just going to run it out. If opponent has cast down on turn 1, or turn 2, opponent has cast down on turn 2. But this will really make them kind of think twice about what they're going to do. Okay, so they have to cycle the Lorien revealed here. Probably going to find an untapped island. Yep. So they have Spell Pierce up, which makes sense. Which is great for us, because we're just going to play a tapped land. Ooh, okay. So I think we just attack here. So the big question is, do we go for the Nihil Spellbomb here? Because next turn, we're still going to go for the All That Glitters. I think we can wait. I think we can wait a turn. And then next turn, we can go for the Nihil Spellbomb safely through Spell Pierce. Opponent has to hold Counterspell up, and we're able to go like All That Glitters into Nihil Spellbomb, maybe. Which could be very good for us. Opponent plays a Delver. Okay. Opponent still has Spell Pierce up. Wow. This is so many All That Glitters. I mean, we're just going to go for an All That Glitters here and see if it gets Spell Pierced. If it gets Spell Pierced, then next turn we have Nihil Spell Bomb. Yep, okay. That's fine. We knew that was coming, but fortunately we have a lot of backup. Delver probably flips here for the opponent. It always does. No Delver flip. Okay. Oh, no. There's Delver flip here. No Delver flip. Okay. We get a Spell Bomb here safely through Spell Pierce, which is huge. Okay, opponent Thought Scours. That's a lot. Opponent might have a Serpent here, which would be unfortunate, but it does mean that we'll get to Vault Scourge. No, just another Delver. Okay, that's huge, because this is going to be a big setback for the opponent. Because opponent is tapped out. Which means we're going to get to Spell Bomb them, and... oh man, we even get to pay for the Spell Bomb to draw a card? Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, that's big for us. That means that even if Delver flips, we're not under a ton of pressure. Because next turn we get to Marin Forcer plus a Wedding Invitation. Counterspell reveals. Okay. So opponent drawing a counterspell here. But if they hold counterspell up, yeah, okay. If they hold counterspell, they don't get to stop the Enforcer, so. Okay. Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7 plus the Wedding Invitation. Yeah, okay. Oh. Okay. Well, that works. Yep, okay. And then... okay, Glaze Fiend there is not terrible. Does opponent have another sacrifice? Opponent has a lot of cards in hand, but many of them could be dead creatures, so... because opponent only milled 1 creature, and we exiled a lot of spells. Yep. We're going to 15 here. We do have a little bit of time, but not much. Opponent end steps. Okay. This is big. That lands. That means we are edict proof, which is big. Do we go for that? Opponent does have a counterspell. We know opponent has a counterspell. So let's just attack. Okay. And we have the blood token to sacrifice if we want to. Unexpected Fangs. Can we go for the cast down here and get paid off? Cast down one time. Oh, Chainer's Edict. Okay. Still fine, but not the best option. Because we're going to play a Chainer's Edict. Your opponent's going to counterspell it, and then we're going to absolutely obliterate them. Because that's a tapped land, which is great for us. Yep, opponent attacking, sure. Wow, this is even better than I thought, because now they have to sacrifice their blocker. Okay, there's the counterspell we knew about. So now we get to Vault Scourge. Because you can't snuff this out. That's game. Let's go! Clean to it. All right, so all in all, what do we think of this deck, man? I mean, Vault Scourge is an absolute MVP. I said it after match number 1. I said it in the deck tech. More people should be playing this card with All That Glitters. It is snuff out proof, which has proven through several matches to be super, super relevant. Additionally, Glaze Fiend, while I'm not 100% sold on it, I do think that it provides the deck with another sort of payoff to this aggro style affinity where you're just slamming down a whole bunch of creatures. And I like the fact that it is an evasive threat, so you don't need to rely on Wedding Invitation to push through damage. All That Glitters, absolutely phenomenal card. But a lot of people are ready for it right now, so you really have to kind of pick and choose your lanes. All in all, the deck felt very, very good. Still unsure about my sideboard plans, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this deck. And as usual, guys, thank you so much for sticking with me and watching through the entire video and demo games. Let me know what you think, any suggestions or changes that you might want to make. Really happy with the list that I landed on. I think 16 lands is the right number, even though we flooded out. As usual, guys, thank you so much for sticking out and making it to the end of the video. Goodbye forever, unless I see you next time. Peace.